What was impressive to me early, and this is something that you obviously covered the recruitment. You've seen him as a player, but Caleb Wilson, not only is he skilled, not only is he impressive, he plays hard, and that is the biggest thing. When you're diving on the floor, when you've got no business getting a loose ball and you get it diving on the floor, it just felt like to me in that first half, his teammates weren't really following that. Of course, they weren't shooting well either, but just sort of speak to what he brings other than the ability to put the ball in the basket, because there's so much more to this guy's game, and he is so impressive to me to watch in those other regards, other than scoring.
I've told the story a few times, and for those who've heard it, I apologize, but it's a different audience. But basically, the first time I remember watching Caleb was his junior year of high school, so not quite 3 years ago. And there was someone connected with Carolina there because they were watching Drake Powell at the time because it was a matchup between Caleb Wilson and Drake Powell. And I asked this person, I said, kind of, what do you think? And they're like, love the skills, but more than that, love the motor, love how hard he plays. And that was as a high school junior in an AAU game that, in the end means absolutely nothing. And a lot of times with players who get that rep, especially as they ascend into top 10, top five players, you lose some of that energy because you start realizing, you got stuff to lose. A bruise here, a bruise there, a twist here, a twist there could cost you a lot of money. And to Caleb's credit, and I think it's his family around him, his agent, his camp, he's never lost that edge because of the things that he might lose or because he's too big or he's a superstar or anything like that. He still plays the exact same way from a motor and intensity perspective as he did that morning in AAU. So I think it's vitally important to UNC because we've talked about it, Tommy, on these podcasts the last couple of years. Hubert Davis's teams, for whatever reason in the past, they sometimes come out and sleepwalk. And if they had come out and sleepwalk, or if Caleb Wilson had come out and sleepwalk in this game in the first half, they'd have been down by, they were down by 8 at halftime. They would have been down by 16 or 17 and probably not able to come back. But the fact that you have someone like Wilson who was engaged from the start, diving for loose balls, just playing hard, that's infectious, man. It's hard not to do that and match that when you see someone who, let's be frank, is making more money than you, is gonna make more money than you, has more accolades than you. When you see them doing the dirty work, you have no choice but to join along. And I think that's one of as important as the baskets are, that mentality that Caleb brings and that permeates over to his teammates is just as important as anything else.
Yeah, I mean that is the most impressive thing watching him play. And granted, we're two games into a long freshman season for him, so we'll see if it continues. I suspect it will. But just it starts off with the tip dunk and just getting on the floor, getting after it on defense. He plays, and people in the chat, somebody in the chat said something about Jordan. He plays like he's got a chip on his shoulder. You're going against Darren Peterson. And all the talk about Darren Peterson's the number one guy or whatever in the class, and Wilson's like, I'm going to show him, and it's
Well,
impressive to watch.
Well, he does have a
Go
chip
ahead.
on his shoulder, and part of it, and again, for those who don't follow recruiting, I apologize, but a part of it is, so he was on a nondescript AAU team that really wasn't going anywhere. So he switched hit before his senior year and went to a team that had the Boozers and a couple of other D1 players. And when he did that, he accepted, what we would call maybe a lower role from a scoring perspective. He was just hustle defense guy, and I think the discourse around him went to, oh, well, Caleb Wilson, he can't be your leading man, but he can be a elite utility athlete, as Rob would call it back in the day. That's what he is. And I think reading that for the last year, I've had conversations with his family, with his dad. He's kind of like, y'all are sleeping on what Caleb can be. And I said, well, yeah, he needs to get better at this and that. He was like, there's a lot of stuff he didn't show because he didn't need to, or because that's not what the team wanted him to do. He said, but y'all will see it. And through 2 games, he wasn't wrong. I mean, there's stuff that he's doing that we didn't think, the turnaround jump shots, the face-up game, some of that stuff you thought maybe he could do that in January or February, but not game 2 of the season in the cauldron of the Smith Center against Kansas.
Yeah, when he goes baseline late in the game, gets cut off, turns around, does a turnaround fadeaway, what was it, 17-footer from the corner. I'm like, no way, and it's nothing but I mean, the kid's great. The thing to watch with him, and I'll reiterate it, we've said it multiple times already in this show, and there's 1,400 people in this chat almost. is he plays his ass off, and that is the key for North Carolina. It is way beyond just the points. It is all the extras that he does, and then guys follow. We see Carolina. But we'll go ahead, Sherrell. You got more?
No,
Because
I was just gonna say you need to go ahead and get a sponsor for the Caleb Wilson portion of the program,
yeah,
like the Drake May
exactly.
portion of the program, because it's going to be every single night. Just go ahead and get a sponsor on that, and you can just devote 5 minutes at the front to Caleb when, after every game. Because even if he doesn't score 24, he's going to have 8 rebounds, or he'll have 5 blocks, or he'll have 6 assists, or whatever. He's going to make an impact even if it's not scoring.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so if you're listening to this show, I know there's some businesses in Chapel Hill. Feel free to sponsor the Caleb Wilson portion of the show. It'll be at least 31 times, or at least 29 more times, and probably upwards of close to 40 more times this season, the Caleb Wilson portion of the show. We're talking with Sherrell McMillan on the Carolina postgame, or the Inside Carolina postgame. Carolina beats Kansas. I thought I had the score rolling through. I did not have it up there. Carolina wins 87-74. First time since 2002. North Carolina beats Kansas. First time since the 70s that North Carolina beats a non-Roy Williams coach Kansas team.